A lot of marriages are failing today, and let's talk about why. So let's get right into it. Over 50% of marriages are failing. There's a lot of divorces, typically initiated by women too. 80% of women are initiating divorces. 92% of college-educated women are initiating divorces. And so it's becoming a scenario of like, why are all these women unhappy in marriage, or why are these women initiating divorces? And, marriage is becoming a very unappetizing thing for a man in today's world. And it's also because of men. There's two sides of this coin, okay? Let me give you the male's perspective first, because the stats really show men losing. 95% of alimony payments, or actually 97, it's 97% of alimony payments go to women. 85% of child custody goes towards women. Men are losing a lot of their income and their actual stuff in marriages because men typically make more than women when they get married to women. They typically make 36% more money on average, so they're automatically giving up money. A lot of times when a woman gets into a marriage, a traditional marriage, right, which is what a lot of men actually want, she gives up working, and then she can walk away in a lot of situations. She could hook up with your neighbor, your best friend. She could sleep with your dad even, and decide she wants a divorce and wants to be with this man, and then you lose half your stuff. It is an absolute crushing blow to men to do everything they want to do correctly for a woman and then lose pretty much everything. And they have to show no record of proof. When it comes to those kind of courts, like child custody courts, they're sealed. So there's no actual board that reviews this. If you're very unhappy with it, it just is what it is. It really depends on the judge that you get. So, there's a lot of stuff that happens. And once you're ordered to do some stuff for marriage, it is a lifetime of commitment. See, marriage is an extremely, extremely heavy, if not the most heavy, legal contract that exists out there in the world. And we have normalized it to such a degree where it's just like, yeah, let's get married, blah, blah, blah. And this was okay, right, to do, because we never saw the effects of divorce until, really in the last decade or two, because there's a lot of problems with society today. I wouldn't even say they're necessarily problems. It's bound to fail. We're prehistoric animals in medieval architecture with futuristic technology. So there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong with the introduction of pornography and, social media. A lot of people have become very, very distracted, and they look more for options. So marriage is experiencing a heavier toll because people think they have options, and people are acting on those options if they have them as well. We live in a society today where you can literally talk to anybody all over the world and engage with them in a really rapid manner if you want to. You can get anywhere in the world in 24 hours, which is insane. You can talk to anybody in the world face-to-face on camera, which is insane because most places have internet. You can literally start a relationship with anybody very, very quickly. And marriage, the way it is, like if you want to get in a country, you can get married into that country. So it bypasses citizenship. Marriage is a very powerful tool in legal contract. But the problem is, the same way you get people is the same way you lose them. And a lot of times people are very drawn to the negativity of a relationship. They look at social media with more options. Men are also very desperate sexually sometimes. We live in a hypersexualized society with pornography and just softcore porn everywhere. So temptation is all around us. And, risk is at an all-time high. And marriages are really hurting men when it comes to divorce. And so, men are more so reluctant to get married to women. I wouldn't even say that this is actually declining. It's more so in their areas, in their class, right? Men are opting to go for women that are, foreign a lot of times, like the whole passport bro things. That's a real thing. The numbers are staggering, actually, and they're increasing. And, it's becoming, I wouldn't even say it's a movement. It's becoming more so of a mindset, more so of a strategic move, because you prevent the whole idea of losing those assets. Men are choosing not to get married, but they're committing to long-term partnerships, which is actually, I don't think this is necessarily bad, but a lot of people are all over the place. So let's slow down for a moment, and let's talk about some major issues. Number one, marriage was, let's talk about the history of marriage. Marriage was created about 5,000 years ago, and it was created for a couple purposes. One, to identify mate selection, right? Like, men were killing each other over women. Like, this is my woman, this is your woman. But marriage kind of locked down the idea, like, this is your property. I'm talking back in the day, marriage is identifying what man has what woman. And wives were for status, for companionship. Marriage was a very powerful union in a religious aspect as well. It evolved to that, where a man claims a woman. Religiously, marriage is a very big thing, especially in Christianity. So marriage is very powerful even in a religious text. And people found that monogamy was very effective for child rearing, right? Not everyone, okay, look, like back in the day, kings would have all the wives, right? Kings would have access to women, but this allowed men, the average man, to have some kind of monogamous relationship with a woman, which is really good. It satisfied the general norm. Men that are sexually frustrated are very dangerous. They're violent. They're not controlled. You don't want that. So marriage stabilized society. And you know what marriage did? It created that monogamy, and monogamy created children, which helped build empires. And children, you know, when you have a kid, you give a shit. You care about your community. You care about your neighbors. You care about people doing well and living well and cultural values. So marriage unified a community mindset, which helped build societies and empires and civilizations, really. Marriage is the backbone of healthy society in a serious sense for many, many years, honestly. Monogamy is arguably the best child rearing institution out there. It's not even arguable. It's just the data backs it up. Kids that have a father and mother do a lot better psychologically. They grow up into more successful citizens. They have lower incarceration rates. They get pregnant a lot less, or they get people pregnant a lot less. They're less violent. They're more disciplined. They get higher grades in school. They're more emotionally aware. They have a decreased chance of motor vehicle accidents. They're more responsible with their financial income and their savings. They're more likely to retire in a stable environment with a consistent income source. They earn higher. They're more positive. They commit suicide at lower rates. They have lower rates of depression. I mean, look, I can get in the data of this stuff, but like, yo, it's a slam dunk win across the board for long and healthy monogamous relationships. Now, monogamy, like monogamy is a very powerful thing, and you could only have sex with women back in the day when you marry them. Like sex before marriage was not like a thing. It was a very, very frowned upon thing. Like it wasn't even a thing in the Western culture, like for a long time. The Western society was a very Christian culture. And so what we had was people didn't have sex before marriage. People just didn't do it. So that was a very important thing to understand, because men did not really go out, and like men could try to sleep with women, but it didn't really happen. And if it did happen, it was very frowned upon. And you know, like, another thing I'll add to this is contraception, right? There's 41 types of contraception today, including like, I guess abortion and I guess pulling out, if you want to consider those contraception. But yeah, like women, when they had sex, had the baby, like there was a high chance you were getting pregnant. So like you got to be really, really careful with the man that you get in bed with. Like it's not just a one done, okay, just for pleasure thing. Contraception opened up the door for that. But even when contraception was first introduced, it wasn't like a thing. You were still a hoe if you had that kind of stuff. Like it was really a frowned upon thing. I don't think a lot of people know this. Like people think that contraception is very normal nowadays. Like, yo, it was not. Like you had contraception, like you had like that kind of stuff. You were a hoe back in the day. Okay? But now it's very normal. It's very healthy. But feminism is what changed that. First wave feminism, like I agree with feminism back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Like, you know what I mean? It was a good thing. Because it put women on the map to have a lot of equal opportunity, and it put women in a position to vote. It put women in a position to actually be members of society. I'm all for that. I am all for that. Women have great opinions on a lot of matter, and women have great opinions on governing themselves as well in a lot of ways. So there's that back in the day, and you know, first wave feminism really opened up the door for women to have a voice. But it's really where it got toxic is where it happens. Like, so we're like third, fourth wave, modern feminism, whatever you want to call it. Oh man, it's destroying marriages, right? Because women are geared in this mindset to where they can be independent. Like independent women are a thing now, but why would you want to be in a marriage if you're independent? Why would, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like you're by yourself, you're independent. Marriage is a union of husband and wife, of man and women. So if you're independent, you don't need anybody, and that just fosters itself. So that mindset, that what it's evolved to now is like a woman can be independent. Women can be highly promiscuous. They can lack conservatism. They're more so promoted to be secular, right? Which kills the religious aspect of marriage. There's a lot of things that kill marriage when it comes to hardcore feminism. Women can wear things that are showing their clothes. Like men can now go to a bar and get sex and go pound out a girl without marriage. And so that also increases the rate of male infidelity, which really was a big thing in the 90s and the 2000s. Like, you know, that's one thing. But feminism also increased the rate of, you know, women having sex and cheating as well. Like, people don't understand, like, women are the culprits when it comes to cheating under the age of 35. People don't get this. Now, it's a declining rate. It starts to switch right at 35. 34. It depends on where you're at, right? But men that are older, right? And there's a reason for this. They cheat more because their wife is now a little bit older. She might have had a couple kids. She's not looking the way that she used to look. You know, she's been out of work for a while and she hasn't been in the dating market, but men are earning more money. They're stabilizing themselves in a traditional household, right? Think about this, right? And so they have opportunity now. And there's a whole class of single girls that are young. I mean, women are encouraged to date men that are older nowadays. It's very normalized. Go to Miami, you'll see an 18-year-old with a 60, 70-year-old man. It's normal, okay? On his yacht, fucking him, sucking him, like it is what it is. Just keeping it real. It's becoming more normalized. There's a whole class of women out there that will go after married men. And when they go after married men, they seduce them. They have a huge financial advantage. Women in feminism, right? Feminism also taught women to be more so transactional. Get a man for his money. You don't need the commitment. It's not about love. Get your bag. You can cry in a Bentley. You can cry in a Rolls Royce. You'll be happy. Like if a man ain't paying, he ain't staying. If he is not providing for you, then you are providing for him by giving him your time. Like there's a mindset there. It's not about love anymore. It's just about transactional nature. So women are more transactional now. So this woman that's young is transactional. And she looks at a man that's married as a transactional opportunity because she can hook up with this man. She's younger, she's sexier, she's physically there. The level of temptation is very high with pornography. 90% of pornography has some kind of violence in it. 90% of pornography nowadays is some kind of convenience-based system where they're hooking up with their maid. They're physically degrading their office assistant. They're doing vile acts on their stepsister, their mother-in-law. It's not like flying to a foreign country and Airbnb. That's not what porn scenes are. They're just, she's here, she's easy access. It's the cashier, it's the dentist, it's the doctor, it's the school teacher. That's the fantasy right there. It's situations that are taboo where we break free in temptation. So here's a situation that's taboo where you're married, right? That's another thing, right? Marriage, taboo to cheat. And it's attractive. It's because of pornography that men are induced, and it's because of feminism and social media that women are transactional in that aspect. And this combination of destruction, of temptation, of just bad negativity is a powerful cocktail for the destruction of the modern family. And so you have men engaging with these women, and these women that get some kind of leverage from this guy. This guy might pay her. This guy might take care of things, buy her shoes. She has an advantage here because she could just tell the wife, and that's a whole situation for a divorce, which loops back into the same thing where she could take half his stuff. So he's threatened by that. So he doesn't want that to happen. So he's going to satisfy her and keep her happy because he doesn't want to lose that stuff. And she has that leverage, and she can extort him, and he can still get some kind of sexual pleasure out of it, and he can use her. And it's a whole cycle. It's a whole cycle. You don't know how many situations I see that young girls are hooking up with men that are 40, 50 years old. Those guys are hooking up with a lot of young girls. Those young girls have sugar daddies. The women that are attractive in society today, if she's above a 7, I'm telling you, she's got some old dude in her DMs trying to pay her to hook up, to send feet pics, to send nudes. And a lot of girls are doing it. A lot of girls don't have that money. You see a girl that's young, she's going to Greece, she's going to Bora Bora, she's going to Dubai, she's going to Miami, and she's in college. Dog, like someone is flying her out, man. You know, my old roommate, he was an MLB athlete. He used to tell me this all the time. He's like, you know where the best girls are, Sumi? I'm like, where? At the airport when you fly them in. I'm like, why? That's crazy. Like, there's no drama. She comes right over. I get what I get and what I want, and she gets what she wants, and that's it. It's done deal. Let's move on. Bang, bang. If that, boom. A lot of times those girls that flew in, I used to see them come in. They had boyfriends. Some of them were married. Yo, you don't even know. And he was paying them, like, you know, $600, $700. I was very young at the time. I didn't know what was going on in that sense, but I saw it happen. You know, this is another echelon of society that nobody really understands. That was how it went. That's how it went. It was what it was. But you know what's crazy, though? He didn't need to pay him. And sometimes he didn't. Because he had a lifestyle. Because they wanted him. Because he was clouded. Because it was what it was. It was what it was. It didn't even matter. He got it like that. He got the juice. And girls just wanted to be around that experience because that was a $700, $800 experience, whatever it is, to them. It was lit for them. And it was lit for him. And it worked. And a lot of times, like, you know, That's just like what's happening. So it's difficult for young men to find the woman that they want. And then, these young men are struggling. They build themselves up financially, and then they're 30 years old. And now they want to marry a woman that's younger, and they still have those fascinations because they were never satisfied with younger women when they were young. They were deprived of it. They look at that as the highest opportunity because they were never able to get those kind of women. And so those women that were very young are now growing up. Those same women, they sought pleasure after pleasureful situation, and they haven't settled down. And like 27, 28, they start to think, okay, yeah, now it's time. Do you know how many women I meet that are like, oh yeah, 30, I'm not going to get married until after 30? Like, what? The average age for marriage back in the day was 21 years old for women in like the 90s, bro, and then in the 2000s. Now it's like a lot of women are getting married at like 26 to 30. It's going up. It's crazy how high it's gone up to. But that's not even like, it's getting higher. It's getting over 30. There's more women over 30 that don't have kids, 54.4%, than women that do have kids over 30. 49.6, It's crazy. So, yeah, it's women that are 30 then are looking for men like, I want the men that are my age to get married to, blah, blah, blah. And they're not attracted to those guys that are older, and they can't find them. See, you're not biologically supposed to be attracted to someone that's over 30 or 40, realistically. Like, people don't understand this. Like, over 30, you're not supposed to be biologically attracted to. You can still like somebody that's 30 and up, but the 21-year-old version of them is better. It just is what it is. We're biologically not supposed to live past 30. Like, we're not supposed to. But with modern technology and toothbrushes and hygiene and clean water and all that, we live till 80, 90 years old. But the human being, like, if you threw a human in the woods, they probably, a good, healthy human that ate well, that hunted well, they would live to like 30. Most women used to die in childbirth at like 16 back in the day. They used to be, average age of marriage was like way like closer to 18 back in the day. Because women would die like during childbirth. That was like a thing. A lot of women died during giving birth for septic reasons, and it was just very painful. Like, they couldn't recover. Nowadays, a lot of women are surviving with C-sections, cesareans, and all the stuff, right? So women are opting to, after 35, it's considered geriatric pregnancy. Like your body's not supposed to do that stuff. There's almost 100 to 200% chance of mutation after the age of 30. Now, that 100 to 200% is multiplied by a 0.001 percentile. So it's still very, very low, right? It still is low, but it's still a 100 to 200% increase. You're not supposed to have kids a lot of times after 30. You're not supposed to be attracted to someone that's after 30. So these women that turn 30 after they've been used and abused by all these different celebrities and athletes all over the world, or all these guys that have money and that are playing to the high level, they then want to find a man, and they're unhappy, and they become very selective because they've been normalized to a very high level of life, a very upper echelon life. Like, they're dating those guys that are 30, 40 years old. Like, those guys have crazy lifestyle, situations. And a woman will never go backwards in her lifestyle. A man will never go backwards in his sexual selection. And so a man will always want to hook up with a girl that's more attractive than the last girl. A woman will always want to live better and more comfortable than her last previous situation of whatever it is. So it's difficult for them to settle. It's difficult for them to normalize this. And a lot of them don't want to. They'd rather stay single in a broken mindset than be with the man that's average, that loves her, that is around her age. And it's tough to find those guys that are around their age because they just don't really care. The guys that were dating them before, that were dating them when they were young, they're attracted to things that are young. And so now the guys that are 30, 35 years old, they're dating women that are younger. And a lot of them are marrying and hooking up with these girls. Like, hold on, first off, a lot of these guys are marrying women or settling down with women outside the countries. It's a whole passport bros, because their level of income is a lot stronger in those countries because the dollar is like 4 to 5 times stronger. They're also like not serious about commitment because they've been hurt their entire 20 years old. Like their 20s, they think that women are all out here for opportunity. So some of them don't even want to because they have a plethora of women. All the women that are young want those guys that are in their 30s making a lot of money, right? Because they're providing that lifestyle. Women are more forgivable with looks. Like, what I mean by this is like, a guy can be ugly, but he could be tall and funny and she'll still like him. A guy could be hit in the face and she'll still like him if he's got that lifestyle. But if a woman is rich, billionaire, but she is not in the shape she needs to be in, and she doesn't have the face that she needs to have, ain't no guy that's going to want to really lock down with her. Like, some guys that are desperate might, and they might abuse her, but they're still going to want to hook up and cheat on her, and they still will. So marriage is getting destroyed by a lot of different reasons. But the big thing I'll say is this, like, marriage is very good. We got to bring marriage back. Like, that's going to be a whole wave. But it's hard right now because a lot of women don't realize until it's too late, and a lot of men are staying away from those women because those women that even when they settle down, they're so selective and picky because of social media, and they divorce very quickly. And a lot of those guys don't treat the woman well. Okay, here's the flip side. A lot of those guys don't treat the woman well. They lie, they cheat, they steal, they manipulate, they play games because they're so sexualized, right? Men want to have sex more than ever today, and they're able to because there's transactional industries out there which foster the idea of infidelity and how it's normal and how it's just okay to hook up with a lot of women. Men are promoted to sleep with a lot of women. They're rewarded. People will say a man that has a lot of bodies is high value. I respectfully disagree. But, that doesn't determine a man's value. I get what the logic is. Like, if he's sleeping with a lot of women, he has to be a quality guy. But it ain't hard to sleep with girls nowadays. Like, it really ain't too crazy. There's some difficulty with it, but I'll tell you this. Like, if a guy's got it, he's got it. And he becomes habituated to that. Some guys are just born into that mindset and they have that income. So it's rewarding those guys at the top to be Machiavellian, short-term, narcissistic. And all the women, hypergamy does exist. Hypergamy is real. Hypergamy is a real thing. Look it up. Where women want the best guy. Women will want those guys, get destroyed by their relationships, get hurt, get their hearts broken. And now all these guys that are regular guys have to pick up on the broken dreams and the broken promises and all the pain of that guy. And it's stressful for them. They're not able to satisfy the woman. They have been watching porn and they don't know how to satisfy her on top of that as well. And it becomes a difficult situation because she's already unhappy because she's already got guys on somebody else. And he is already in this mindset that's different. And boom, divorce happens, people lose, and the societal problem continues. We got to bring marriage back. But it starts with you understanding that, you've got to be grateful. You've got to be realistic. Honestly, it's about women getting more realistic and men being more focused on providing and locking down and not engaging in infidelity. Men have 15 to 20 times the amount of testosterone. I'm slipping up here. 15 to 20 times the amount of testosterone. So they're going to, cheat more naturally. They're going to be more sexual. So I can go into this about how marriage is important for hours. I know I've been speaking very fast here. So, maybe slow this down. Maybe I'm going rapid fire for you. That's why I make it audio and you can rewind it and, fast forward through it. So hope this helped you. If this helped anybody out there and their understanding of what this situation is, please share this with somebody that you care about and that you love and that you want them to you want them to benefit from this. I just want to get this message out there to everybody. So appreciate your time, guys. You could have been anywhere else, but you spent some time with me, and I will always love you for that.